joining us for Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox. I am Xavier Fox, your host. Get ready for this journey. On Monday mornings, Thursday, and Friday afternoons, we're going to laugh and learn. We're going to learn some other viewpoints on relationships, information on health and fitness, investing, sex, and much more. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with family and friends. I also hope you were able to catch the replays of the most popular shows. We had those going on. They were really good. I actually was listening to them too. It's one thing to do the show. It's another thing to listen to the show. They were really good shows. We have some really good shows. Today, we are kicking off the new shows with Miss Rita Stewart and her show, Open to Love. She's going to tell us how we can prepare to be loved. We always think about how to love somebody else. However, are you able to receive love? Maybe not. Then Nicole Williams is back with What's Hot to let us know what's going on this weekend, celebrity gossip, and what movies we should Netflix and chill with. If you have questions on either segment, make sure you zoom in using the link, which you can find on my Facebook page, Xavier Fox, or hopefully you've joined the public Facebook group, Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox, so you can get all the info. If you are just listening to this, or, well, I guess if you listen to this, if you listen to this, you can go to xavierfox.com/radio-show for the schedule of the month of December. We have that up so you can see when your favorite personality or topic is scheduled. So now let's get to it. Hey, Miss Rita, how you be today?
I am really good, really good. Just taking my time with life these days and allowing myself to absorb the joy of being alive.
All right. That's a good thing to do. I have found myself taking my time as well. I don't
Yeah.
know what is that about?
Well, we're actually coming through a major shift. So all of us are being tapped in to do that, but some people are responding and some people just stick to their habits. It's like whatever they do every day, that's what they do. But for those who are a little more awake or who are on their mission, they tend to surrender to the process, which cause us to be still, sometimes to be alone, isolate yourself, so you can get your downloads and prepare for the journey, as we say. Because
Yeah,
everything's gonna change. We got a whole new thing coming up.
I have found myself just kind of flowing a little bit more, accepting things as they come, not rushing. It's funny because when you're younger, you find yourself rushing. You want to get as much done as soon as
Yeah.
possible, and then well, I'm just at a point where I know what is supposed to get done will get done. And whatever I don't get done today, then it'll get done tomorrow.
It will. And again, that's what trust in the process looks like. And people talk about, I was listening to something said, I don't know who said it. It was one of the actors. He said they told you it was 24 hours in a day, but it's only 12. Because at night we're resting, supposedly. But we've been trained to just be on that hamster wheel all the time.
And
Huh?
that's actually very true because when you break down the day, you're supposed to sleep for 6 to 8 of them hours. So that
Yeah.
leaves you 16. And then
Mhm.
you got other stuff you're gonna do. You gotta eat and all that other kind of stuff. So it cuts down on that time that you really do have available. So 12 might be about right.
Yeah. So and it's like when do you really tune in to take care of yourself?
Mhm.
So that's what's cool about going through my second Saturn return, which you do between the ages of 58 and 60. You literally have the opportunity at that age to just look over your life, look over your accomplishments, your contributions, and determine, where you are. And if you've been accomplished, it's like ain't nothing else for me to really do. Everything else is a contribution. I'm just doing what I want to do.
Mm.
And so then what comes up is the time to work with yourself and to really fulfill onto the intimacy of your own soul.
Okay. I always love listening to you because I always learn from you. And that's just the most wonderful thing. It's such a coincidence. Your name is Rita. My mama name is Rita. So I guess one of these readers had to teach me something. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead.
She taught you something. She just taught it from the dark side. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the things we learn from the dark side, because it's so painful, we tend to dismiss it. But it really has a lot to do with the strength of the person that we are. So it had to happen.
Hmm.
You know, and when we actually examine it and see the things that we learned and begin to acknowledge them, you know, we do that work with the master teacher in our life coach course.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have people look at, you know, who were your master teachers, and even though it may have been painful, there's a gift. They left you a gift. Try to find a gift. Yeah, so she told Rita, my sister Rita taught you a lot of good stuff, because you, Xavier, you just give to the world all the time.
I do what I can. All right. Well, I want to get on to your topic for today, which is preparing to love, to be loved.
Preparing to actually both, right? Preparing to be loved and also preparing to love. Because a lot of times, and I hear this over and over again, when people are talking about, oh my God, I haven't been in a relationship in however many years, you know, but that's really not true. You're in a relationship all the time. That first relationship is with yourself, with your person. And if you don't take time to actually cultivate who you are and get to know yourself, then you're actually losing time. And, you know, we really, a lot of us, this is a good time to be doing that. You know, who am I? What do I want from life? What do I give to life? Right? But I want us to consider that we spend so much time wanting to be in a relationship that that's the energy that we put out there and we push it away.
Mm.
Right? You've heard that term, what you fear, you attract.
Mm-hmm.
So if you fear that you're not going to be in a relationship, you're not going to be in a relationship. It's just not going to happen. You know, and then how do you change that? How do you change that frequency or that vibration so that you can actually have a relationship with yourself that prepares you to be in a relationship with another person?
That's what we want to know.
Right. So, you know, when we last talked, we talked about the life quadrant. I like to break things down into quadrants because it gives us a chance to look at ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Most of the time, we live our life in a mental quadrant. We stay in our head, we stay in our mind, we stay in our thought. Even when we're in a relationship, we literally have we're doing the relationship in our mind and not out there with the person. You ever notice that? We'll form a thought and swear it's the truth, and then start treating that person like it's the truth.
Yep, that can definitely happen. You can have a dream and start treating that person.
Oh, I saw you. What? I saw you. It was in a dream. And
Yes.
yes, I've worked with people trying to deal with that because they, in one way, you know, they're saying, you know, that was a premonition. That was my subconscious telling me that this is going on. I said, but it could also be your fear that you think is going on, because that goes two ways. It goes both ways. You don't have dreams about things that you're afraid that are going to happen, and you can have premonitions telling you what's going to happen. So we have to really get to know ourselves and trust what our processes are. So when we're looking at the mental, one of the things that, and if you're listening to this, you know, and you want to work along with us, I would suggest you get just a piece of paper to write these questions down. You may not answer them right now, but you can write them down and come back to them. So when we're looking at the mental realm, the question we might want to ask, what am I afraid of about relationships?
Mm.
What am I afraid of?
Being hurt.
Being hurt, right? Most of us are afraid of being hurt. I'm afraid they're going to leave me. Afraid they're going to die.
Oh. That used to be a really big one for me. After my husband was killed, I went
Oh,
years with that fear of getting with somebody and then they would die. That has been, yeah, that's a big one.
yes. And that process alone is teaching us to let go because people are going to hurt us. They are going to die. They are going to leave. So your being afraid of that doesn't stop it from happening, but it does get in the way of you connecting authentically to other people. So it's like, oh, wait a minute. We live in a universe where all we do is let go. You
That,
see that?
yeah,
Oh,
that seems
yeah,
true.
it is. At some point, you're gonna have to let go of that beauty. You know, you got to let go of that body that used to operate a certain way. You're gonna have to let go of this life. You know, so every step of the way, we're learning how to let go, but gracefully,
Hmm.
right? So when you can when you can sit with that question, what am I afraid of in relationships? You can go down that rabbit hole and begin to look at yourself and know that you have that's in your way, that's stopping you because you can't get to a relationship being afraid of being hurt.
Hmm.
I posted something the other day that said, I want my heart, when I die, I want my heart to be full of stretch marks and scars. What is that saying? It means that I was expanding. I was always expanding. I was always willing to love again. I was always willing to open my heart to love. People who tend to shut themselves down because they're afraid to be hurt, they're not open to love. It's just not. It's nothing you can even do about that. And they can pretend they can go through all the different relationships and hookups and talk to as many people as they want to. But if they are afraid of being hurt, as soon as they feel a connection to someone, they will tend to shut down.
Because it's scary.
Yep.
It's when you feel the connection coming on, it's like, oh, I'm opening myself up to potentially be hurt. But on the same thing, you also open yourself up to be loved.
Yes. And they both come together. Just like everything else, there's yin and yang. You're going to have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. And we tend to want to think I can spoil myself. I can have this life the way that I want to. I can use the law of attraction to get only what I want. Well, even in prepping you for what you want, you have to expand. So the universe are going to bring you opportunities to expand. When you're expanding, when you're exercising, you got to go through some pain
Yeah, yeah.
to get the expansion.
No pain,
The
no
only
gain.
reason, yeah, no pain, no gain, right? The only reason you get muscles is because those muscles tear.
Yeah.
And then in the repairing, they grow muscle, they grow tissue. So, we have to really change our concept about being afraid of being hurt and really look at how powerful we are in the face of hurt. How much hurt have you survived? I mean, you survived the husband's death,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep, I'm still here and I've
You're
been in
still, no,
relationships.
you're more than just still here. You see what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, you're not curled up in a ball someplace or in some mental asylum or,
No,
walking down the street like a bag lady, right?
no, no, no.
You're thriving. So this is what we have to look to. I can handle anything. Now imagine what that's like when you're going into a relationship. You can provide 100% of yourself. 100%. You can provide 100% of yourself because you're not afraid of being hurt. If something comes up, we'll communicate. If something needs to be straightened out, we'll communicate. Again, expansion, because we need to learn how to expand in our communication too. A lot of us didn't grow up and families that communicated with us. So
That's exactly what I was about to say. So in the whole thing of communication being the solution, what if your mate is just not a great communicator? What if they just shut down?
well, that again, you know that before you get through the process, right? So you want to start looking at some of those things before you actually commit yourself to that relationship, because you're not here to fix them. And if they're not on the same level of expanding with you, you already know to move along.
Mhm.
Some people will say they want a project. Everybody is not your project.
I don't want a project.
Hey, let people go at their own pace. Some people come back around after they've gone through some stuff and grown up, but that's not your job to fix them or to make sure they get it right. Now, if they're open to it, they will allow you to do it with ease and grace. It'd be no problem. Anybody going into a relationship know that there's things that we will learn, and we will learn them together. That's just really the smart way of looking at it. You're not coming into a relationship saying, I'm right, and I'm gonna show you how to get it right. And he's saying the same thing. Oh, we're gonna have a clash all day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
when
yeah.
you're talking about people getting with people who are in your same space and moving forward with the communication and many other things, are there certain things that people should look for, or do you just flow with what vibes with you? Like, we might say if he does XYZ, but maybe she does XYZ too.
Yeah, right. So, what I like to, the way that I like to look at it again is, if we jail, we don't have to be anything alike. We don't have to we don't have to like the same foods and watch the same movies and all of that, but we do need to be able to be compatible. We need to be able to talk. We need to be able to share ourselves. We need to be able to feel comfortable being vulnerable. Now, that's the real test. Can this person be themselves with me? Can I be myself with them? When you find yourself holding back, or I can't say that, or I can't do that, or he wouldn't like that, then you know that there's something that's not compatible in that relationship.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You can test it. I'm gonna tell you what we don't do enough as women. We don't test the water. We be trying to make it be it. This is it. This is it. Come on. He's so fine. He got money. Like, no, it's gonna be more than that, because I don't care how you feel about someone. Literally, it has to be equal. If they don't feel that same way about you, it's going to be lopsided. And I know we were told, I was told this too. Always get with somebody who love you more than you love them. Nope.
Yeah,
Right. You heard that too?
yeah. And they say it a lot on Facebook, but I want to be in there. I want to feel it too. I mean, that's the good part, is the feeling,
That's the juice.
sharing it, yeah.
Listen, that's the manifestation piece. That's what builds empires. You feel me, I feel you, the universe feels us. Now we building. You feel me? I don't want to be bothered. We ain't got nothing going on.
Right. Right. And that's the part that I wouldn't be able to handle, because if I'm not feeling you and then you around looking at me all starry eyed, I'm gonna be irritated really quickly.
Really quickly, and wanting to get away from you. If and that's how you know this is not gelling.
Right.
It's not it, right?
If I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I can't wait till we get back together again. When is our next time together?
I can't leave you.
When we gonna get back home? Man,
Right.
I can't wait. If I can't feel that, I don't even want it.
I don't even want it. I don't. And most of us really, because we seek relationships out of desperation, we get in there and we look at all of the superficial stuff, the beauty, the money, the material stuff. we travel all the time. That's not going to hold your relationship together. It really isn't. It's deeper than that. So when you want to be authentically attached to someone, they have to also be authentically attached to you too.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So now we looked at the mental. The mental question is, what am I afraid of about relationships? Right? So now the second quadrant is emotion, right? It's 4 quadrants. The second one is emotion. The question that we want to ask there is, who or what do I need to forgive?
Mm.
And most of us are like, well, I'm good. But you would be surprised at how much anger and grief we are holding in from our childhood.
I definitely believe that.
Yeah. And we don't realize that it's seeping through. It's seeping through our subconscious, telling you relationships are dangerous. Relationships are bad. It's going to be just like your mama and daddy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to get to a clean slate, we have to make sure that our heart is pure and open, like really pure and open.
And
And the way,
sometimes the mama
yeah,
and daddy may have had a okay relationship with each other, but you may not have had a good relationship with one or the other or both as the child.
right. And you formed your judgments and opinions about that.
Exactly. Yep. Because those were your first relationships with your.
Those were your first relationships. And here's what studies have shown. Studies have actually shown that when you get married, those first 2 years, you literally recreate your childhood environment.
Hmm.
The environment. You understand that? So it's like, what did it feel like to be in the presence of your parents?
Hmm.
If it didn't feel good, then you're going to create a very nasty space to be in. If it felt good, then you're going to create a very joyful space to be in. And the reason that happens is so that couples can begin to reconcile and realize that they have to be about creating. Otherwise, the only thing that's going to happen is just the past is just going to keep repeating itself. That's why we keep passing down what people call generational curses, because people don't stop and examine, what actually happened with me? Why am I the person I am? What was my environment like? I spend a lot of time with my children just apologizing to them and cleaning up stuff in my relationships with their dad, because I didn't get it right, but I do know that I did the best that I could with what I knew. And when I know better, I do better. So every time I learned something, I would share it with them. We would be learning stuff together because I wanted them to have a different life than what I grew up in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at who or what do I need to forgive, it could really take us into some painful and dark spaces, right? I know. I think I was 35 when I finally forgave my mother,
Oh wow.
and yeah, I thought that my mother had abandoned me, right? Had abandoned me because she was there, but she wasn't there. But then I realized my mother ended up going to a mental institution when I was 5.
Oh
She
wow.
could not help what happened. She could not help that. So that made me go and look into her life. What was going on with her?
Mm-hmm.
what caused her to have this breakdown? Come to find out, she was an incest victim.
Oh.
And all the people in the family knew about it, but they were
Oh.
protecting the man and
Oh.
not her. And believe it or not, that's what has me so committed to children. You know, all the time I'm like, say, watch the children, protect the children, because it's like when I started talking to people in the family about her and what was going on, I said, but why didn't you tell somebody? Why didn't you protect her? And all they had was stories. Oh yeah, we used to see him coming out her window.
What?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So they knew this was going on, right? With the family member, right? So
How long did that go on? How young was she? How old was she?
she finally had her mental breakdown at the age she was 27.
Mm.
And I remember, and my mother was those first 5 years with her, she gave me so much. I mean, I sometimes I'm just like, wow, in that little short period of time. But she got married, and when she got married, this same person, this other person, wanted to keep coming and having relations with her.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
So clearly that person has some mental issues himself.
Oh, definitely. Well, whatever, but I didn't even delve over in there because it was just like, all I could think of, why didn't somebody protect my mother? So when she finally snapped, it was I was 5 and my sister was 7 years old, and we had to go live with my grandmother, and my life completely changed after that because there was no more love. There was no love, no nurturing, no caring. There was nothing after that. I became, what do you call that? Baggage, ignored, completely untaken care of after that point. So when I had to look and see that I needed to forgive my mother, that was so painful, knowing all the stuff that she had gone through. It was just like an old mommy moment, like, oh my goodness. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, very painful to know that her life was like that and people knew and did not support her. Right.
That I can only imagine how alone she felt.
So you can imagine that when she was pregnant with me, and we do some of this work too, and we talk about the womb, we have to rebirth ourselves. In the womb, I was getting all of that energy.
Yep.
I was getting all of that aloneness, the fear, the anger. I think I wrote a list of things she had to be feeling while I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just so that because if we're raised, of course, you think about it, the placenta that we're in is water, all water. Our bodies are 70 to 80% water.
Yeah.
So when we're in those places, all we're doing is absorbing the energy. We're absorbing the energy. So when you come out with that energy that you grew through in the pregnancy. And if that environment is the same, now it's just making it even harder. Yeah. And this is why this is our commitment to doing the work that we do, because most of us, can you imagine? No, people aren't looking at that. What was my mama going through when she was pregnant with me? People are not looking at that.
And that's why I was sitting here saying, because now, I told you I learned some family secrets. And so as I'm sitting here now knowing what was going on when my mom was pregnant with me, that must have just been
hard, horrendous for her. But she didn't have family support either, if I recall.
Not with
Right. Yeah. And so most of us have to cope And we cope by whatever level of knowledge and ability and skill that we have. So everybody is really doing the best that they can. And she did, your mother did what she had to do. And my mother, she just couldn't handle it. But, my mother was a Pisces. They're so sweet. They have that kind of sweetness about them and softness about them anyway. So, okay. So we did the mental, we did the emotional. Now the third quadrant is the physical quadrant. And this is probably one of my favorites because most of us don't even recognize, and you people, do you love yourself? People say, oh yeah, I love myself. But most of us have no idea what that looks like. So the physical question is, how can I have more intimacy and connection with my own body? And a lot of times, the reason that we get sick, the reason that things happen is because our body we're not connected to our body on all those other levels. We're just like over here, we're so external. We're doing this, we're running here, we're running there. And we use the body as though it's a mechanical system. But the body is alive, right? That's why we're alive. So we have to actually relate to it in a sense of aliveness. So it's like, how can I be more intimate? First of all, you have to listen to it. You have to literally stop and see what it needs. What does it need? Sometimes it just needs to be still. And the first thing you say is, oh, but I got to get this done. You keep pushing, and eventually it's not going to work for you.
Yes, mine tells me all the time that it needs to be still in a jacuzzi.
I keep trying to get to King Spa. I was like, I want to go to King Spa for my birthday. I said, I'm putting that out there because that's the only thing I want to do. Right. Yeah, be still in the jacuzzi, and let that water just run over you.
Yes, that nice hot water.
Oh my God. I think you posted a picture like that on.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I joined the gym again just so that I could get in the water.
Yes.
Well, not just so, but that's one of the reasons.
That's one of the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how can I, be more intimate with my body? And I know I was sharing this with a group of women a couple of weeks ago. One lady said, she said, you mean masturbation?
What?
I said, no, ma'am. I said, but if that's part of your, loving yourself,
Hey.
you're not throwing it out. But no, we're not talking about add more masturbation. Because when we hear intimate, we think of sex.
Right. Yep.
But the intimacy I'm talking about is the closeness. Like to know your body so well that when it needs healing, you're not running to the doctor.
Right.
When it needs healing, you're checking in and seeing, oh, what's missing that I haven't put in? Because your body is telling you, one of the things that I was looking at, you're familiar with Louise Hay.
Yes.
Now, if we look at diabetes, which is very huge in our community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, diabetes. Now, according to her work, she says diabetes, the metaphysical meaning for that is a longing for what might have been, a great need to control, deep sorrow, no sweetness left.
Wow.
You see that? So, in one of our courses called Couple Schools, one of the first things that we do is we have the couples list your parents' ailments that you saw them dealing with when you were growing up.
Mm.
And, once they do that work on both sides, mother, father, they realize, oh man, I'm on that path. I'm doing just like they did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm acting just like that. A need to control, a great need to control, right? Deep sorrow, no sweetness left. And then what's another one that's prevalent? Cancer. Cancer is all over the place. So if we look at cancer, deep hurt, long-standing resentment,
Mm.
deep secret or grief, eating away at the self,
Wow.
carrying hatred.
My grandmother died from breast cancer.
Yeah. So and again, we know that there were some issues there,
Yeah,
right?
I found out some secrets about all of that generation too. So there was definitely some deep secrets.
Yeah. And that's why we talk about what do I need to forgive? Because every single day there's something to forgive. When I have to forgive, when I order food and they leave it outside. I live in a courtyard in a building with 60 apartments, right? And you're gonna leave my food outside on the ground?
Oh my God. They did that to me one time. And I don't have that many people, but they left it outside in that little hallway where everybody come in and they put my food on the floor. And anybody,
Yes.
that is my pet peeve. I don't
I
even.
saw this guy getting ready to put my food. I said, "What are you doing?" So I rang the bell. I said, "I'm coming down." You know.
Oh my
So
God,
I
yes.
have to forgive I have to quickly. Do you hear me? Quickly. Because you can go into a whole funk about that.
You sure can. Mm-hmm. Because
And
I
then,
was in a little funk for a minute when they left my food on the ground. I was like, no, I should call and file a complaint.
oh, right. Now I'm gonna have somebody's job taken, because and that's where grace comes in.
Mm.
You have the opportunity to, say, okay, I got it. They probably have a lot, whatever. But at least I did let them know that I did not appreciate that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So now here's another good one. Influenza,
Hmm.
which is flu, responds to mass negativity and beliefs, fear, belief in statistics.
Mm.
And that's all they running across the TV screen right now.
I don't watch TV like that.
Yeah, I don't either. Not
I
regular.
stay away from all of that negativity that
Mm.
they putting through into everybody's house. That's just ridiculous because your mindset and what you focus on is very important. And I will not focus on that crap they putting on the TV.
Will not. Exactly.
I watch me some comedy.
Yeah, I do too. I watch me some comedy or my crazy self, love stories.
I do those every once in a while, the love stories. And then sometimes I watch the crazy like reality stuff. What is that we watch? Ready to Love. Yeah, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
crazy stuff. But nothing, oh, everybody's gonna die. No, no.
Right. No, no. Now
Mm-mm.
here's one that I literally had to work with myself this year. You remember I told you that I actually fell 3
Mm-hmm.
times
Mm-hmm.
in January, February. And it eventually became a problem with my hip after that.
Oh.
Now it says injury, right? Injuries, anger at the self, feeling guilty.
Mm.
And here's what's neat about that. We immediately go, I ain't angry. I don't have no guilt, but this is not that. This is look deeper,
Mm-hmm.
go into it, trust that there's something that your body is trying to release. And what again, this is refinement period too. So things from years ago come up. And I did this whole ritual around just forgiving myself. And it's like bringing up all the stupid stuff that I ever did, and just releasing it.
How do you release stuff sometimes? I work on releasing, and I think I've released it, and then I'll be laying in the bed, and all of a sudden something will come back up, and I'm like, I thought I had let that go. How do you?
It comes back up so that you can let it go again. That's how deep it's ingrained in us. It's deeply ingrained. I mean, I literally had to, my inner child, her whole conversation is, I'm not loved. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. Can you imagine the person that I am going through life, allowing that inner child to rule me like that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So it takes constant, like, what's going on, girl? And this is that intimacy. Like, what do you need from me? Not necessarily what do you need from someone else. When you can give those things to yourself, you become less needy of what other people provide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when you become less needy, other people can show up in your space with a more genuine connection instead of trying to take care of you. You don't, if somebody always have to take care of you, it doesn't give them room to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So you want it to be mutual. And then you want whatever you do for somebody. I'm doing this because this is what I want to do. Not because I'm obligated. Not because it gives me points with you. And they can be the same way.
Or not because I'm filling a void that I have.
Not because I'm filling a void. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to become more intimate with our bodies, on several different reasons, but one, so we can heal them quickly, so we can get the messages that our soul is telling us, so that we can literally become more whole and genuine in our self-expression. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm following you. I'm right here.
Yeah.
I'm jotting down notes.
Right. So then the fourth and final quadrant is the soul quadrant. And the question that we ask here is, where do I need to increase my spirituality?
Mm.
Now, I think I was 10 when my first cousin was shot and killed, and he was my protector. So after my mom got sick, he really looked out for me. So when he was shot and killed, I felt like, I'm really messed up, right? But because I had this strong connection to spirit, I used to be like, he was walking down the street with me. I go someplace, I say, oh, come on, Jimmy. If I was scared, I was like, Jimmy, you there? And there was this wonderful story, Teresa Lugo and I in Puerto Rico. This one guy walked up to her speaking in Spanish, told her, said, there's this giant guy that follows her. You see the guy? And she doesn't wear any chains or jewelry. Who does she worship? So Teresa started telling me that. I said, wow. And this was many years after that. But imagine people that do not have a connection to the spirit realm and whatever that looks like. So what do I need to do to increase my spirituality? And sometimes we need to actually study it. We were taught spirituality through religions.
Right. And it's totally different.
It's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different. And most people who call themselves a certain thing, they actually have a challenge knowing that you can be a good person without having to go to church.
Right. If you have to go to church to be a good person, that's the problem.
Well, I knew it was a problem when somebody had told me they were referring a client to me, and the client was a woman. So it's a pastor and his wife, and then the other woman. So the pastor's wife confronted the other woman and said, let us have our own relationship. Let us do what we're going to do, and especially in this church setting. And the woman said to her, she said, well, if Jesus is going to forgive me anyway, I'm going to keep sinning.
Oh.
I said, don't tell me this is how y'all believe. Don't tell me that this is what y'all think this is.
Mm-hmm. You know that favorite saying, we all fall short.
Oh my goodness. So then on this plane, I don't have to clean myself up. Right. I can do whatever I want to do, because when I die, I'm going to heaven because I believe in Jesus Christ. I've been saved. That's such malarkey.
If you believe and you've been baptized, then you could go to heaven. And all the rest of it don't even matter. That whole spiritual connection and conviction of what is good for the, not just for yourself, but for the good of everybody, that it seems like there's no connection to that in certain religious communities.
And that's by design. Those religions do not want you to become spiritually adept. They do not want you to know how powerful you are as a spiritual being.
Right.
Okay. And I don't like to use the term, we are God, but we have the ability to create. That's what we have the ability to do. Mm-hmm. But I don't want you to know that, because then I can't control you.
Exactly. I was just having a conversation, and I don't really get into those anymore. One of the things, and this because I see how you maneuver on Facebook as well. Once you are good within yourself, you don't have to argue your point anymore. But yesterday, I wasn't arguing my point either. There was a conversation, and I hopped in because they were talking about crystals and stuff, and they were talking about witchcraft and all this other kind of stuff. And I just hopped in and said that, all of those things were around long before this Christianity was the Christian God. I said, this is our connection to earth. It really is our spiritual source.
Yep.
And so that's what I said. And then there were a lot of people that jumped on and understood that. They were like, oh, yeah. But then there was somebody that came in, with the whole good and evil and this and that and the other. And so I read it and just went back to getting my workout on.
Isn't it amazing that, we're doing a conference coming up in December called The Power of Yin, where we're looking at the energy of the feminine. So most of the people that were killed doing the whole witchcraft, all that stuff, they were women who knew how to go out and forest herbs to heal people. And so I have this herb that can heal you. I also have this herb that can kill you. So now people get scared. And what do they can't control you. So they try to undermine you, and then eventually destroy you. And that's why the whole conversation of witches became negative. And it's not. It's just like you said, it's our connection to the earth.
And that's what I told them yesterday. I said, they want you to believe that it's negative. Right. So you don't get into it. So they want to control you under their religion. They don't want you to be in touch with the spiritual. They don't want you to be in touch with that, with the natural earth healing and all of the stuff that the crystals and sage and all those things can bring to you. They don't want you to have that knowledge, because then they can't control you on the other side.
Right.
They can't put that fear and guilt in you that you're going to go to hell or whatever else.
And that's what they do. They want to put fear in you so that you follow their way of doing things. Follow what I'm telling you to do.
The devil going to get you. He sure is, because that is the devil. They go get you.
The devil is actually our mind. Anytime we allow our thoughts to control us, and here's something to think about. Here's a statistic. The average person has over 65,000 thoughts a day.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 65,000 thoughts, 90% of them are either negative or repetitive. They're either negative, yep. 90%. So now, if I'm not trained on how my mind works, and I'm watching TV that's programming me, or video games that's programming me,
yep,
then I become a victim to that system. Literally, I'm like a robot now. You telling me go out here and shoot? I can shoot. That's what these kids are doing.
Yep.
And y'all don't realize this, but you still want to go buy more games. You still want to go and do that. But the devil lives inside our thoughts, and the devil is just, it's really made up just like everything else is, just another way of controlling. But we have to be responsible for controlling our thoughts. A negative thought come in, you have the ability to change that and think of something else. Mm-hmm. If you need more information, then go increase your knowledge on that subject.
I was listening to Joe Dispenza, and he was talking about this exact thing, and how our minds are more apt to have a negative thought than a positive thought. We have to actually go in and create the positive thoughts, because your mind will immediately go to the fear, it'll go to the doubt, all of that stuff. And in order to manifest anything, you have to be solid on what you believe.
And that's why, everybody can't win, because most people are not going to be diligent and disciplined in that work. They will literally allow that negative thought to sit with them and become a part of who they are, and say, oh, I'm just like that. Oh, I'm a Capricorn. That's just what happened, Instead of doing work because a lot of times when we're in that resistant mode, it is our spirit trying to redirect us. So sometimes that negative comes up for us to look to the positive. Mm-hmm. Some of the greatest teachers that I've ran across have come from very challenging upbringings, and they tend to be more solid in their faith because they had to rely more on their spiritual world than they did anything else. Mm-hmm. They had to believe that the universe, God, source, was going to take care of them because there was nobody else there to do it. Mm-hmm. So they became more grounded in that. And a person like that, you can't control. So then the only thing I can do is not support you, not encourage you, not letting anybody else know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, and most of us become the black sheep of the family.
Oh, yeah. Because you're different. I'm the black sheep. I've been the black sheep of my family because I just always been a little different. But,
Yeah.
And then, everything that was going on around that time that didn't help either. Around the time I was born, that didn't help either. So I want to ask you a question because it's hanging in my head, and I want to ask it before it goes away, because, sometimes those thoughts will disappear. So I mentioned something about a void earlier, and I've had a thought about voids. When you're operating from a void of not feeling love, that nobody cares, I think sometimes this is my thought, you seek out what you're missing. So therefore, I feel like sometimes when you're looking for a relationship, it's actually not for the right reason. And if you
Yep.
are seeking out a relationship to fill a void, then you aren't truly loving that other person.
You're not even available to love that other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not that, and you know, this is why when we're talking about preparing to love, why you have to you actually this is the scenario I thought about. You know how you've been on a job and you're like, I gotta leave this job. I hate this job. I hate my boss. I hate, and then you go find another job and now you're in the same predicament. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, I hate this boss. I hate that. Why? Because you did not learn what you needed to learn when you were in the first position. So if we're not willing to learn what love is for us before we go into that relationship, it's going to be the same relationship. It's going to be just like all the other ones because you have not developed yourself. You have not prepared yourself. Most people learn most about relationships outside of relationships, not in them. But when we end a relationship, what's the first thing we do?
Look for another one.
That, and we blame the other person.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how I
We
missed
gonna
that
blame it.
because that's
Yeah, we
basically
gonna blame that other
all day.
person. Come on, right?
Mm-hmm.
All day we gonna blame the other person.
Yep.
So instead of doing that, we can actually use that as a mirror. Like, okay, I attracted this person.
Mm-hmm.
So if the saying, as the saying goes, you can only attract yourself. Man, I attracted who? That's who I am.
Oh man, and that thought alone will mess you up.
So mess you, because you didn't talk about this person all this time, and it's you. It's you.
Right. Because so I remember one time some years ago, you and I were talking, and I was saying something about that I like slightly arrogant men. And I said, I don't know why. You was like, you don't know why. He said, Dr. Fox, you don't know that you're arrogant yourself. I'm like,
Oh yeah, I remember that, right? And you're like, what? Yeah, I remember that. You were so shocked.
I was shocked because I'm like, what? But it's funny because I do, and I still not as bad as before, but I still confident. I'll just say confident man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in what you do, you have to have some arrogance. Arrogance is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Literally,
But when people
right.
hear that word, it's just like when they hear the word selfish, and
Yeah,
thing is focused on yourself. Well, you have to focus on yourself sometimes.
you have
Selfish
to.
is not a bad thing. You have to
It's
focus on
not.
yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then so it's like if I'm not arrogant, then I would probably not have the belief in myself to move forward with some of the big projects that I'm working on. You know what I mean? You have to
Exactly.
have a sense of I can get this done.
Right. I could do this.
Now that's not the right. That's not the same as being a bragging person. That's not the same thing. But arrogance is like this strong, like I can do this. And I know I can do this. So it's just a little bit beyond confidence, but it has to be there in order for you to get things done. And people try, and that doesn't mean you don't have to have humility. Humility is in your interactions with people, how
Right.
you treat them.
Right. I do have humility as well,
Mhm.
And now I'm not going to say humble because to me, when I read the definition of humble, it means to lower yourself.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I came from humble beginnings.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right. But you don't have to be humble. You have some humility, but yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that whole void thing. And so when you brought up you attract where you are, you attract where you vibrate. Everything within that vibration is what you attract. So when people are like, I'm always attracting this, that, the other. And though I may not always say anything, but when you know different, you think a little bit different. So when I hear people talk about the horrible people they attract, I'm like, okay, so you must not be what you
Oh,
create yourself to be.
girl, come on. That's right. Because when people come to work with me and they're talking about their mate and they're trying to tell me who their mate is and they do this and this and this, I give them that first go round. But the next time it's like, yeah, but this is someone that you live with, that you love, that you married, and you obviously had some type of affinity for them. Where are they your mirror? Oh, they can't stand that.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Hmm.
When you have to
That's
look at yourself based
yeah.
on who you are attracting and who's your mirror, like you said, all the people that are in your life are mirrors of you. And so
Everybody.
and so I sometimes I have a few people around me and I look at them, I'm like, what in the hell are they mirroring?
Wait, you'll love this. I went to in July, I went to a 4th of July party, and I'm sitting there like feeling out of place, even though I knew these people.
Mm-hmm. And I've
I
had that.
said,
Yes.
yeah, and I was like, wow, what is going on? And they were talking about certain subjects that I didn't get in on because I have opposing opinions and I don't believe in debating and argument. You know what I mean? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna just listen. I don't have, my opinion don't have to mean nothing.
Right.
So I really just observe and listen to what's going on. So at one point, because I was, I like to help the hostess. I went in the house and I was washing some dishes and I walked back out to go out, and my spirit said, "Well, you can go to the left and go back in the crowd, or you can go right and walk home, baby."
Oh, you was out of there.
Yeah, I was like, wow. But not only did I walk, I left whatever I brought there.
Wow.
Right. I left my chair, my containers of the food, but I just couldn't go back in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the way home, all I did was look at what was different, what was different about me, because I've been around these people for 20 years.
Oh wow. So this was long. Well, they say you grow and you move
Yeah.
on. It's
And you
just
move on. Yeah. And so the next time they call me for a party, we'll come pick you up. I was like, okay, well, keep me posted. But yeah, I was just really surprised at myself and could see my growth on a number of different levels. Because one, I didn't engage in conversation that would have been antagonistic to others.
Mm-hmm. And I totally relate to you on that. Not too long ago, I was sitting in a group of people, um, one of which I've known for a couple years, and the other not as long, but still people that I was hanging out with at one point. And I was sitting there listening to the conversation, and it just felt different. And I just no longer felt like I belonged there. But even during that, getting to that point, there were times when I was like, what am I doing here? Because I was looking at behaviors and beliefs,
Yeah,
beliefs.
yeah, yeah. This is not what I do. I may have
Right.
used to do that, but this is not what I do.
Like, at some point, all of that should change. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was just it was a point in life that was uncomfortable because I either had to accept that this is where I am, or I had to accept that this is what I got to let go of.
Yeah, yeah.
And neither of those are, easy.
They're not easy because the more you look at yourself and take stock, you will tend to be alone. But that usually is when the juiciest relationships set up and show up. Why? Because you don't need anyone.
Mm.
You're comfortable with yourself. It's okay one way or the other. So now you're not begging the universe for your partner. Because and this is the thing, I have watched people beg for a relationship, get the relationship, and then complain about it the whole time. But, but you complain when you're single, and you complain when you're in a relationship. problem is not the relationship, it's you, right? You got to look at yourself because you got to be a peaceful existence for people to be in your space.
Right. Right. And if you're angry, that anger comes out.
Yes.
I mentioned Facebook a lot because there's so many people on there and they're spewing so much hurt and anger. Just
They use
anger.
Facebook for therapy, I noticed.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm on there. I really use Facebook for marketing. Don't tell nobody.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying a lot of people are just throwing their stuff out there. Like, who are you talking to?
And some of I know men have been hurt. I know they've been hurt.
I got more than us because men do not have the opportunity to be respected for their sensitivity. Men are trained to not feel, to not acknowledge their feelings. And when they're hurt, they're told to stuff it in. They can't even express that kind of pain. And
then they get on Facebook and let it all out.
Yeah, they're gonna let it out. But that's the beauty too of a community. And I guess that's what Facebook is more room out than it is in.
That's true. So how do they prepare to be loved?
Well, let me finish this last. The spiritual. I just want to list a few spiritual tools that we need to make sure that we have, so that when we have to get out of our negative thinking, when we have to get that, change how we're doing things, that we have some things. So the first thing that we suggest is that you journal. Journal. Why do we have people? Oh, I don't like to journal. Well, you draw a picture then. But the idea is to get out of your head, because you're spending so much time in 65,000 thoughts. 90% are negative or repetitive. Your mind and brain is designed to create. So it's going to create that environment unless you interact with it. So journaling is a way of you being able to see what your thought patterns are. And then it gives you a chance to see the layers, what's underneath that initial thought, right? The next thing, I'd like to tell people, I like candles to remind me to stay in the light, I light a candle every day for my sister, just to bring her into my space. Another thing is incense. Incense can change the energy of your space, and especially a new space. You want to get some frankincense and sage up in those corners to make sure negative energy isn't just sitting around there, because that energy attaches itself to the first person that comes in and has that type of pattern. Now you got the art. Yeah, right. Person, I'm have an argument with you in my apartment. We saging and lighting candles and pine soling all day.
You gonna clean that out of there.
Take it with you. Another spiritual tool is meditation. Doesn't mean you have to sit for an hour. If you sit for 5 minutes, and even on YouTube, they actually have some 5-minute meditation videos, just to sit, because again, this is freeing up your mind. You would be surprised how more productive you would be if you gave more room to your mind to be clear, right? And then rituals, spirit. Rituals are a way of actually grounding, right, what it is that you're concerned about. So, it's a way of embedding that deep within your psyche. It's a way of having you just focus on that one thing for now. Just focus on that. That's what a ritual is. Just focus on that. We're going to just sit here and do this. So a ritual could look like, I'm going to sit in front of my altar with my journal, burning my incense with my candles, and all I'm going to focus on is how to have a better relationship with myself. You see that? That could be a ritual, and you do that for 3 or 4 days. So it's nothing hokey about that. right? It just, it's just a way of grounding and focusing on something. And then, of course, baths, sitting in water, any kind of water releases you. Just to sit in water, one of the most detoxing baths that I like to take is with a cup of Epsom salt, a half cup of baking soda, and then like a quarter cup of peroxide. And you put that in the warm water. You sit in that for about 30 minutes. When you get out, go to bed, because all of that negativity have drained off of you. And just wrap yourself up in a sheet and go to sleep.
Oh, that's just the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, don't go outside because you're wide open. Your energy is wide open. So you do not want to be vulnerable for other negativity to come into you. And then, of course, there are crystals. Study crystals. Get to know, when I'm getting ready to go to a business meeting or something, I might do a reading to find out what kind of crystal I need to have with me. What am I, you can have all kind of crystals for protection. If you really, really want to create more love in your space, have rose quartz around you. Carry rose quartz in your pocket. Put it on your altar or put it someplace where that energy can bounce off of you. But study crystals and have them relate to what it is that you're wanting to attract. Okay. And then, like I said, altars. Altars are like live vision boards. Okay. And, you can design them to have where you remember your loved ones. You can design them to, have something on there to remind you of what your children may need right now, or of a project that you're working on, or of travel plans that you may have, or finances that you're increasing. So you can have all these different things on your altar, and then you just notice them every day and send some energy to them. And again, because we create and the mind is designed to create, subconsciously it picks all of that up and began to happen. So, I love my altars. You can have one at the front door, which is where I have mine. But yeah, so those are just a few things that I would say. And then, of course, those of you who do readings, I think readings are good too. I don't want to, that's a whole nother conversation, because
You did a reading for us at the very beginning. That was your first show.
Yeah.
The love reading for
Yeah,
Sweetest Day.
we can find so many. Like, I had somebody call me recently, and I had read their relationship years ago, and something shifted. And so then we looked at what was going on with them in both of their years. And it was like, wow, when they got an understanding or overstanding of that, they were like, wow, we see that. So they had to shift in their relationship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they were becoming different people.
Oh.
Yeah, and we have to allow room for that. That's what, that's why when you say, oh yeah, I'm married to my best friend, your best friend gonna let you change. They're not gonna try to hold you down, keep you from doing what you're supposed to do.
Oh, I was just listening to something similar to that about how people change. And if you really love that person, you want them to change. It's like, okay, I want you to be happy. If that means that you're not with me,
Yes.
then we just both need to let go. It'll hurt, but in the long run, it's better for us both.
It really is. And then because you have demonstrated love, that's an expansion. So now you have cultivated within yourself, more room to love. So now your next relationship is going to be even more intense because you have this bigger capacity to love.
You got to be real grown up to go.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real grown up space to be in.
Oh, man, I done been in so many grown up. I just be like, oh, universe, you know what? You just really be. Guess these are my growing pains. I'm gonna go with it.
And you gotta go with it, because what else you gonna do?
All you're complaining about, and see, this is the other part of knowing and being intimate with your body, right? All of that negativity that you spew is still in your body. It houses itself there. So now you're just really making yourself sick. So you have to be responsible for that. And you have to be mindful that, oh God, my words create. Yes, they do.
Mhm.
And they create first with you. So, you want to take some time to, and it's not about always being positive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when challenging things happen, that you have cultivated yourself to the point that you know, oh, I have to do something about this, instead of, oh, this happened to me, my life is over.
Yes, then that the latter statement is an easier place to wind up in.
And that's what most of us are trained to do. Or we're trained to pray, pray. You can pray all day long, but if you don't change your diet, if you don't change your diet and your body is telling you that it has issues with this, this, and this, and you don't change your diet, it doesn't make any difference.
Right. Right. And
Doctors don't tell you that. Why? Because they live off of your victimhood and your insecurity and your lack of responsibility for your health. We
absolutely.
literally finance
Their lives, period.
their life. They
Yep,
live off of us.
absolutely. And if you are not sick, then you are not paying for any of their vacations or cars or house notes. And
Or if when you do get sick, you know how to naturally take
right.
time to heal yourself without going, that extreme. Yeah, I'm not financing that.
Me either. Me either. Me either. It's crazy to me, just even the thought that I take my body that I live with every day, I take it to a person that does not know me from the next person, and and turn my health over to them. They don't love
As
me.
an authority, they have the authority to tell me what to do.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
then somebody come and say, oh, well, actually, if you did so, no, where the doctor said, what, does the doctor know you?
right. Do the doctor know you? The doctor don't know you, don't care nothing about you. The doctor care about getting paid.
Yes.
That's
And your insurance, you got insurance.
Yep.
Now if you got insurance, I'm gonna work on you a long time.
Absolutely. I'm gonna order all of the tests that's gonna cost
all the time. Oh, we need some more tests. And y'all think they're doing it because they care. No, we got to get some billables here.
exactly. Let's put some radiation on you.
Well, I stand back here to make sure it don't get on me.
Right. I'm gonna leave. You know what? So I went to the dentist. Now you got to go to the dentist.
Yeah,
Get
your
x-rays. And I had my teeth cleaned and stuff. And I had one that had chipped a little bit. So they was gonna put this stuff on it, but she wanted to do an x-ray, right? And so she put this thing on me and she was getting ready to walk out the door. I was like, wait a minute. If you gotta leave the room, why am I staying? This doesn't sound right. And so because I would not do the x-ray because they were gonna leave the room. And but I wanted this service done. And so they wound up having, they found a whole different way to do it.
Yep.
And everybody was in the room with me. I did have the metal thing on, but they just stood back, but everybody stayed in the room with me. See, if you make a big enough stink, they got another way to do it.
They do have another way, but
Yes,
you're right. We don't know that we don't have a sense of value to make those requests.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. And they would call you arrogant for that, right?
Hey, well, they can call me whatever they want to.
Call me whatever they want to. That's my point. Don't mean it.
But when it all went down, they stayed in the room with me.
Everybody doing this, okay?
Right.
We all in this together.
We all in this together, or we ain't in it at all.
Right.
And she
So
that door. I said, wait a minute, where you going?
now, did you have another question? Because I had one more point, I think.
Well, I actually just wanted to because it's a big thing. I know you probably not on Facebook or in the different groups like I'm in, because I got in a lot of the single groups and stuff. So what I want to address before I let you go, and the lady from the next segment, she's gonna be running late. So I got a little time with you if you got a little time.
Yeah.
What I want to address is how, like you said, men don't let it out as often, but they're so angry now. It's almost depressing to read it. I get off Facebook sometimes because I can't stand to read it no more. And I want to know how we can help them, because there's a lot of them. And then they got their little leader, the leader of the pack. I'm sure you've probably heard of him. He spouts the most anger toward women. And you know it's all coming from a place of pain. And what can we do to help them? That's you can say what you need to say first, but I just want to address that because it's like a freaking epidemic. It's worse than COVID.
Wow. Yeah, it's so interesting because I think probably about the first 15, 20 years of my coaching practice, 80% of my clients were men.
Mm-hmm.
And I know why now. I didn't realize it then. But one of the books that I study or have studied, one of the authors, Terrence Real. Terrence Real wrote this book called I Don't Want to Talk About It. And it's the myth of male depression. And in this book, he depicts the world of men that most women don't know, right? And inside of the whole conversation of big boys don't cry, or suck that up, or don't tell nobody when you're hurting. So imagine that a child is actually programmed from the ages of birth to 7. So that first 7 years, you're inside of a patriarchal society, a community in which most men are, because most of them are engaged in sports.
Mm-hmm.
So they're around these men who have no sense of their own feelings, their own emotions. They don't know what to do with them, right? So they're teaching these young men to not know either. So most men have no idea that they're hurting.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that they're hurting. They may know that somebody hurt them, but they don't know that they're hurting and that this colors their world, right? And then on top of that, they keep thinking that sex, pleasure, will take away the hurt. And it won't. It's a temporary fix. It'll just distract you for a minute. Just like that glass of alcohol. It'll distract you, but it won't cure the issue. So this is actually the reason why it's so important for women to heal themselves before looking for a relationship, because you're going to have to help that brother King heal. And if you're constantly being this little girl who needs this and want, and you don't show me, and he can't do it for himself. He just can't. Women can help each other. Do you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
If you got a problem, Xavier, you gonna call me, somebody. You calling somebody.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna talk this out. We gonna with whatever's going on. Men don't have a whole crew that they can talk to unless they're cutting somebody down. They don't have somebody that they can cry with unless they have a mate.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't be the type of woman that can hold the pain of a man, you really should not be looking for a relationship, because they have a lot of pain. And Terrence Real, he's on Facebook, not Facebook. He might be on Facebook, but I know he has a lot on YouTube. And I've probably been using his work for over 20 years, but he does a very good job of talking about how most of these men have not paid attention to that little boy who all they wanted was their mother's attention, and she was too busy, or
Ooh.
she was angry, or she was mean,
Of
or she
all of
was
them.
neglected, all of that. So that little boy spends his whole life trying to find a woman that will give him love, because he he might feel love, but he probably feels more unlovable than anything. And then if he meets up with someone and finds someone on some level, and most of the time is sexual, if they don't know how to grow past the pain, they just end up destroying each other. And Terrence Real talks about this, and he goes into the whole, whole thing, how men, they get to a point where they try to do everything that they think a man's supposed to do, and then they become abusive because this pain is so deep inside them, they don't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Is
I
that
know
Reel?
Real.
Real.
Terrance, Terrence Real. On Facebook, I saw that one of my exes got married over Thanksgiving. I was so excited.
Oh.
I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my God, now this brother King can get his work, because he's an amazing teacher. He's just an amazing man. But he and I weren't gonna make it work, right? But he was just so when I saw the pictures, I almost wanted to write too much, so I just had to say congratulations, right? But men, when they find their woman that has the energy to hold who they are, they will excel in every area of their life. And this has been proven over and over again. You're not going to, the men aren't going to be the ones that build empires without a mate. Now, women, that's a whole different thing. I don't even know why women, and the reason women can do it is because we're multipliers. We're creators. Anything you give us, we're going to make bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But men, they need women. And some of
They
them
swear they don't.
That's the point. That's the anger. That's the anger. So because I know that I need you, I gotta belittle you. And then when they get you, they gotta squash you because they know that they need you. But all of that is inside of a healing conversation. Once they become whole and heal, once they understand their own yin energy, most men don't know that they have yin energy. You have female energy that you have to cultivate. You can't be just straight up man. You can't. That doesn't work. Everything in the universe has male and female energy. Everything is yin yang. And that's what balances the individual. So if you refuse to honor that space, and this is what most men, this is why they've been killing witches off and calling us bitches and man, because they do not want to honor that space of who we are. So it's going to take both sides, but we're going to see a change in all of this. It's already starting to happen. But women, it's going to be on us. And some of my young women, why do you put so much work on us to do? Why we got to do all the work?
Right.
Why? And it's just like, we're Mother Earth. We grow everything. That's who we are. And the only thing the sun does is shine. And that's the yin and yang of the universe, our universe. So if we can grow and support our mate in growing, all he has to do is shine. We ain't asking him to do what we do. He couldn't do it if he wanted to. But he does have to develop the capacity to receive. And that was my final statement, that there's a difference between receiving and taking. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times what most men tend to do is to stay in control is they take. Hey, give me this. Hey, let's do this. Hey, answer the phone. Hey, let's, always on their timing. Right? And then if you offer them something, they have to say no, because then that would make them vulnerable. Nope, no, thank you. So they can't receive. And that means that they have shut down their feminine energy. And if you can't receive, that means that even when the universe is trying to give you something, you're shut down, you're defiant. I can do it myself. So when we can look and see, I had to train myself to receive, because, I grew up having to take care of myself and do everything. So when the universe started showing me opportunities where I didn't allow people to sow into my life, I had to stop. And I literally stopped to the point where I gave my car to my nephew, because I said, I got this car and I'm the only person in it when I can get on transportation, CTA or whatever,
Wow.
Yeah, because it really, we hold ourselves, in this protective state, but we want to be loved. You have to decide, because love, you have two different things, right? Love and fear. Love expands, fear contracts. So you have to always be looking, am I expanding or I'm contracting? And we're here all to become unconditional love. So you can, you don't want to be on a spiritual journey, I'm sorry, but that's what all of us are here for.
Right. I told somebody that a couple of weeks ago. We're all here on a spiritual journey because we are spirits.
We are spirits. So you're being brought into the space of love. So every opportunity to show you where you're not love shows up so that you can become love. It's not there to punish you or to hurt you. No, this is where you're not love. And it's not for you to point the finger at somebody else to say, oh, you're not love. No, if it's showing up in your space, it's you that's not love, right? And that sometimes is a hard one to depress, because a lot of times when we find ourselves, and we mentioned this earlier, where we find ourselves being attracted to somebody and then having a connection to them that feels very authentic, we start to withhold, we contract. Oh, this could hurt me. Then we go into our head, judging, and instead of allowing love to pull it forward, which is free. Love is just a free-flowing energy. You don't have to withhold. Well, let me withhold. Let me not tell them how I feel. Let me not show them. You see that?
I do, but I'm just I struggle with that after that last relationship, when you told me I needed to open up in love, and I did that, and it didn't quite go the way I had anticipated. And so it's scary now, as I feel like I'm maybe ready to date. It's scary on two levels. One, because I'm curious to see what I'm going to attract, so I can see where I'm at. And then two, if I attract what I would really want, so I'm ready to date. See, that's what I said. But if
Well, but being ready to date is not the same as attracting your life partner, just so you know.
okay, so I might attract somebody else that's ready to date, but
Yes,
I won't
the
attract.
ready to date is the player's field.
Oh, okay. Because I
You
wasn't even in this field for a while. I just stepped out of the field, period.
Yeah, most people don't realize it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to date. So that means that you go here, hang out here. That's just not good use of time.
Well, and that's kind of why I wasn't really dating because I've been focused on, of course, getting this show
Building,
going on.
yeah,
I got the
right.
podcast and the real estate. I got a few things going on. So it wasn't really a good use of my time. But now I want some downtime. I don't necessarily want to go here and go there and go here and everywhere. But every once in a while, I want to, put on some girl clothes and do my hair and stuff.
And just suppose that in your, because you're expressing, you're being life expressed. You're expressing to what it feels to be alive. And a person that values that is going to find you, but they're not going to find you dating because they're not focused there. They're also focused building the way that you are. You will accidentally bump into each other, or you will meet at an event or some kind of, so, let go of the need, right? Because that's a need, right? And actually allow yourself to just play in life.
Just play in life.
Yeah.
I actually like the way that sounds.
Yeah. It's like I just shared something that said, what is for you will find you.
Mm.
And that's a different approach from what is for me, I got to go get. No, you don't have to go get it. And the more visible you become, the more you're expanding the choices. People from everywhere can see you. It's not just limited to a small sector of people. You see that?
Right, right. And that was another issue when I thought I was ready to date before. I was like, this is just a very small, little shallow pool. And I don't want
Right.
to fish here.
No, no. So it's just like forget about that. Now, one of the things that you can tell the universe, I like the companionship.
Hmm.
Different, or if you are ready for your life partner, request your life partner, but not like a need, like a request. I was just working with a client a couple of weeks ago. I said, well, just ask the universe, where's my husband?
You know what, Miss Rita? And I'm gonna say this on the show, and we only got about 8 more minutes, but I'm gonna say it. And I've said this to you before. So I don't know. I still feel like I'm just a little hesitant at marriage. I've been proposed to a few times since my husband was killed, and
Mm,
I actually accepted 2 rings, and I just never went through with it. It's something about marriage that even as we're talking about it now, I get anxiety inside whenever I even think about that. Now I can date and be in a relationship and live together and do that whole thing right there, and I'm good. But as soon as the marriage word comes up, and honestly, I was like that before I got married the first time. I wasn't the one trying to get married. And then even when I got married, my dad said, I got your Uncle Joe outside with a shotgun just in case you decide to run. Now he wasn't trying to keep my husband in there, trying to keep me in there.
right.
So I don't know what it is about marriage that gives me anxiety. When you said send my husband, I was like, oh Lord.
That's good. This is really good. So can you see that there's some work to do there?
Ooh, I
Yeah.
don't I don't know
You-
where to
Well,
start.
I don't know if it's not because it's not because of marriage, but because of what I know in your relationship with your parents, there were things that you picked up about marriage, even as a child, Xavier, that you saw that wasn't workable for you.
Mm,
You know, you saw some things, and even if those things you saw you denied, as you got older, you learned some truths that validated what you saw.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't know it then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in the whole thing about it, it doesn't have to be married. Sometimes you can, you know, who was that? Keanu Reeves and somebody else. They did their vows to the universe 30 years ago. There ain't no big wedding. You know, all of that's extra. You
I
know.
think that would be more of something that I would do. I would probably, we could have some symbolic thing in the presence
Yeah.
of the
Well,
universe.
and you know, I officiate weddings. You know, I'm a certified what do you call it, pastor.
Okay, well, and maybe with you being there, I might be comfortable enough to do it.
But the whole point is that this person and you both want that
Right,
at the same time.
right,
Like it's not, oh, I'm gonna make a run for it. Because if you're gonna make a run for it, you shouldn't be there.
right. I know, right? And that's the thing. I always say, if I meet a guy and he really want to get married, I would do it if I met that right guy. But I'm not the chick that's like pushing to be married. That's not like
No,
my
no.
goal. I'm not out there like, oh, I want to get married. You know, I've been married, I've raised kids. I don't have those kind of things pushing me. I
Right.
really am. You said companionship earlier, and that really is my thing. It's companionship, you know, and sharing the
Companionship. Yeah,
experiences of life, you know, just sharing
that's right.
experiences of life and creating memories. That's really what and having great sex.
Yeah, that's all of that inside of that. And then you feel safe and in a relationship that you know honors who you are. You
Yes.
know, and sometimes we don't get to that point until after we've gone through some of those failed relationships because we haven't honored ourselves. If you look back, Xavier, and I do want you to journal and do some work around this after what you just said, literally, your dad said, yeah, I got the shotgun. Your spirit was telling you not to do it.
But I never actually wanted to be married in the first when we
That's
were kids and me and my cousins were playing, well, they were playing house. I was a singer making money on the mic.
yeah,
They had husbands and kids. I didn't even want to dial. I wanted to brush because I was about to go sing. I was always on the mic. That's
yeah.
always been me.
And then we get indoctrinated. Oh, this is what you're supposed to do because you're a woman and this man wants you. You're supposed to, you know, we kind of surrender to that. We don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
That's yeah, but still, it's too many of our children are surrendering to that. But you don't have to. You don't have to get married and raise a family. There's other ways of doing life
Yes. Yes.
without doing this traditional stuff.
And that's
We
what
can
I
get
have
new
started
tradition.
talking about to younger women because my mom literally when I was 25, I'm 25 living in Atlanta having a blast. My mom literally told me, you need to settle down, you're not getting any younger. And I'm 25, I'm in Atlanta and I got a great job, a car, a nice apartment in the so I was having a blast. And that's what she told me. She wasn't happy for me where I was because I was happy. I wasn't
No,
complete
and you know why
until
she wasn't happy? Because she wasn't happy where she was. So
she
why
sure
should you be happy?
she still wasn't happy. But later on,
No.
you know, as she got, you know, after she got sick and stuff, she told me that she always was envious because she called me, you know, by my because she thought she was talking to somebody else because she had started with. She said she was always envious of me because I always lived life on my own terms. I did what I wanted to do and not what other people wanted me to do.
Yes. Yes. And that's what you get to do now too, Xavier. You get to create companionship, romance, and all of that. And if you don't want marriage, that's fine too. But you still get to have someone in your corner.
That's cool, you know, somebody that understands me
Mhm.
or gets me or at least feels me enough to want to be in my corner because I'm gonna be in their corner. You know, Leos are very loyal, so
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. You know, whatever you, I'm right there with you. I just want to feel that somebody is right there with me too.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was just thinking I should create a ritual for for us to release. You know, I literally, and I know it's 1 minute, literally, I did a 30-day ritual probably about 20 years ago to release the anger that I had about the men in my relationship that were abusive and harmful. And I had to release them to open my heart and to get the lessons that I learned from them. And that was so freeing, absolutely so freeing, because again, we always blame the other person, but how
Right.
about understanding and letting go? Yeah.
Whew, Lord, we did it again.
Oh yeah, okay.
We,
Always a pleasure being with you.
it's always a pleasure having you on. I always get to let some of my stuff out, and it's one thing when you let stuff out and people just look at you like they're crazy because they think you're crazy too. And it's another
Mhm.
thing when you can let some stuff out that somebody can take it in and actually come back with something for you that of substance that you can relate to and grow from.
Stir it up. That's
And
right.
that's
Mhm.
what I love. That's what I love so much about you.
Well,
So
thank you.
thank you so much for. Did you get everything out, Miss Rita? Because I know I've been
I
talking.
did. No, that was good. And I just wanted to say January will be my birthday show.
Oh yay!
Yeah, so we're gonna have a party. We'll
We're
figure
gonna
that out.
have a party.
Yeah.
You should have all your friends log in that day. We should
Mhm.
have a party.
Yeah, have a party. Yes, there. We'll have to create that because I think it's like what, the 5th or something. My birthday is on the 2nd. So I think it's like that week.
Let's see.
Okay. So we'll create that.
Yeah, we'll be posting it. I think the first show is January 3rd. That's a Monday. Yep, I think yours is January 5th.
Right.
Yep, January 5th. We're gonna have the birthday show with Miss Rita. Well, thank you so much for being on here today and for staying a little longer and taking up the time with me. I really enjoyed it. So we know that your next show is January 5th. You got any last words for your listeners?
I just thank everybody for listening. And if anything that I said resonates with you, fine. If it doesn't, throw it out because your spirit knows better than me what's good for you.
And where can they contact you if they'd like to?
You can find me on Facebook, Rita Musham Suit Stewart, or Musham Suit Transformational Coach, or Master Force. Any of those will connect you to me.
And you said you got a conference coming up. What? Tell us.
Yes, we have a conference coming up. It's going to be December 19th until December 24th. And each night we will be having conversations about the power of yin. And we're talking to 2 or 3 coaches a night, having them really look at what does that mean in their life, in their practice, in their world, to tap into the power of yin.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. So today is December 2nd. And if you are listening to a replay of this show, be sure and catch the live shows on Mondays from 7 to 9 a.m. and on Thursdays and Fridays from 12 to 2.